They are the faces that haunt the famous. Guy Paul Dukes, allegedly so obsessed with actress Ashley Judd, she called 911 when he showed up at her Tennessee home last week. He was charged with criminal trespass.
It's him. That's the stalker. There's a restraining order on that guy.
Naval veteran Gary Benson sentenced in 1995 to 6 years behind bars for felony stalking of comedian Jerry Lewis and his family.
Told me on the phone he was going to kill me and my daughter.
And Tangela Burkhardt, a former White House intern, slapped with a restraining order for harassing George Stephanopoulos.
I feel the case has been somewhat mischaracterized.
Burkhardt apparently believes she's no threat, and that attitude is not uncommon. In fact, Guy Paul Duke's parents told Extra their son would never hurt Ashley Judd. Rather, he believed he was helping her.
He had a burden for her, and he wanted to see her get saved.
And just last Wednesday, after Gary Benson was released from this Nevada prison, he tried to reassure Jerry Lewis there was nothing to fear.
I'm no threat to you, Mr. Lewis. I learned my lesson.
Anyone that knows psychology of a stalker or has read anything about stalkers is they don't stop, and this is one that's not stopping.
Abby Silver prosecuted Benson, but now this man, a diagnosed schizophrenic, is free. He completed his sentence. But his release has sparked a heated debate. Why let stalkers out of prison at all?
To put somebody away against his or her own will is very difficult in our country, given our civil liberties.
Outspoken Los Angeles radio host Larry Elder says that despite studies showing people like Benson will likely stalk again, we just can't keep stalkers behind bars because they might commit a crime. So what can be done?
If we determine that stalking is a serious enough a crime, then my argument would be we should put him in jail longer.
In fact, after the 1989 murder of My Sister Sam star Rebecca Schaefer by an obsessed fan, some states did toughen stalking laws. And in states like California, the 3 strikes law can help. Jonathan Norman, convicted of stalking Steven Spielberg, got 25 years to life. It was his 3rd strike. And then there's what you might call the proactive approach. On the day Gary Benson left prison in this blue van, Jerry Lewis turned the tables and, in a sense, stalked the stalker to make sure he left Jerry's hometown, hiring private security guards to track Benson all the way from prison through Las Vegas to the airport. Ironically, Benson himself, now contrite, says he agrees with tougher sentencing laws. So you would support that?
Yeah, I would, because I don't want nobody stalking me.
Jerry Lewis's support of tougher sentences for stalkers in Nevada has made a big difference. Legislators there approved a new bill raising the maximum sentence for stalkers from 6 years to 15. They're promising to be big, but as many of us are finding, Millennium Eve festivities don't come cheap. Now, amid charges of travel industry price gouging, one celebrity is speaking out. And our Suzanne Rico has some hints on how you can keep it easy on the checkbook. It's our extra angle.
It's the party of the century, from New York to Paris to Sydney, Australia. Yes, Millennium Madness is among us. That's why travel and leisure editor Mark Orwell says toasting in 2000 may toast your wallet.
The costs are really over the top. Some of the trips themselves are over the top.
And we're not talking about ultra-expensive adventures like the $75,000 trip around the world via the Concorde. We're talking simple party planning for everyday folk.
If you can get a room at the big city hotels, you may be paying as much as a double or even more.
Here are some of the examples of the outrageous offerings. A room at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas is normally $89. New Year's Eve, $1,500 a night with a 4-night minimum. Airline tickets to Hawaii, usually about $400, are close to $1,000. And a good seat at a Barbra Streisand concert, normally about $300, will run you 2,500 smackers.
Karma will come around and slap them in the back of the head for doing that.
Spa and resort owner Merv Griffin is throwing a bash at his Beverly Hills hotel on Millennium Eve. Merv says he's seen many of his competitors charging ridiculous prices.
We're not in the gouging business. What are we going to do, all become millionaires because of this party?
Not likely, but Merv says he can understand why the night won't be cheap.
Certain costs have to be met. You can imagine what our entertainment costs are. Now, entertainers are getting 10 times and more their salaries for that night.
So what's a person to do?
There are a lot of bargains out there waiting to happen.
Travel correspondent Peter Greenberg says there's still time to plan without breaking the bank. Here's how. Go with friends. Group rates or 2-for-1 deals are a bargain. Or book your flight for December 31st. Tickets are rock bottom. And if you still want to leave the country, forget Paris. Go somewhere out of the ordinary.
Is Rome going to be full? Yeah, with Italians. But what about Florence? What about going further into Tuscany? What about going to places in Italy that are not the big tourist areas?
Or what about waiting? That's right. Peter says the travel and entertainment industries have overpriced themselves. And by December, many companies will practically be giving trips away.
A Carnival cruise that in July was selling for a 7-day Millennium cruise for $3,900 is selling today for $1,935.
So, if you've tried to book plans for the Millennium, only to find it's too expensive or sold out, check again. Because there's still a chance for you to attend the party of the century.
If you want to fly between December 29th and January 2nd, wait. You're going to see deals, I guarantee you.
Guess I need to start saving my money. Or you may just want to catch the festivities on TV. Dick Clark will be at his usual spot in Times Square. And this year, Will Smith will be hosting a Millennium Gala special in Washington, D.C., sponsored by the White House. You've heard all about schools' attempts to enforce some sort of dress code for their students. Now they're trying to enforce it for teachers, too. And that's got one educator fit to be tied. Our Jamie Colby has the reason why.
It's a knotty dilemma, a career hanging on a necktie. And one man's health is at risk because the local school board says he has to dress for success.
The burning is deep in under the skin.
Meet Tony Slatkoff of the Berlin Brothers High School District near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. For 24 years, an exemplary biology teacher, revered by students and parents alike.
He's really nice. He keeps the students in line. My daughter's a senior this year, and she just loves him to death.
But now Tony's in trouble. Here's why. A victim of a cancer called Hodgkin's disease, he's got scar tissue from resulting neck surgery that's made it torture for him to wear tight clothing around his throat.
And what ends up happening is I end up with a burning sensation in the scar area.
You'd think a sensitive employer would sympathize and never force Tony to get hot under the collar. Well, think again. The local school district has just adopted a dress code, obliging every teacher to wear a necktie. For Tony, an especially painful requirement. And in late August, he protested it by going tieless on campus, only to be threatened with suspension.
2 more steps, and Tony could have been on the street.
Tony's lawyer, Larry Hyduke, says the board did make one concession, allowing Larry to wear his tie loosely with his collar open. But Tony wants to dress like he is here because he says anything around his neck is too much.
I still have the discomfort.
Tony filed a discrimination complaint with the government, saying he was being penalized for his disability, and asked a court to force the school board to let him go tieless.
We have not asked for any monetary damages. What Tony wants to do is continue teaching.
But win or lose, Tony's already lost. The controversy itself, he says, is causing him stress that could worsen his cancer.
Stress is something that I've been counseled to remove from my life as much as possible.
Despite Slatkoff's written request for a medical exemption, school officials seem determined to hang tough, enforcing a dress code that actually threatened his health.
You feel the policy is necessary?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Tony's principal, Tom Vent, says the policy is designed to foster student respect for teachers.
What does it do for students?
Well, I think it presents the fact that, they're in a professional environment.
As for Tony, his only consolation for now as he faces the possible end to his career, the hope that his ordeal may teach his students a valuable lesson, the need for tolerance.
If we give a moment of pause for people to think about this idea of tolerance, then I've done a bigger effect. I've had a bigger effect.
Tony's discrimination complaint is pending. The school board has not rescinded its dress code policy, but Tony hasn't been suspended.
It's terror 15 feet under. A horse trapped in a drain pipe. Will he survive? One town moves the earth to save Norman. Forget reading palms. Sly Stallone's mom, Jackie, is bottom of Hollywood's new list of fortune tellers. She's reading star butt prints.
Each behind tells a different story.
Yes, she's serious. Now hear what Sly thinks about Jackie's rump review.
Together we've celebrated birthdays and opening days. Good efforts and little losses. Moments that live once and forever. But what we've really celebrated is time together. Now McDonald's salutes the year-long Walt Disney World Millennium Celebration, where new memories are yet to come. Commemorate this momentous event at McDonald's with 4 special edition glasses. Where can you start celebrating the millennium? Did somebody say McDonald's?
Hey, what you doing up there?
I'm doing a splash test on this new Clorox Advantage bleach.
A splash test?
It's a whole new kind of bleach, made thicker so it won't splash when you pour.
Hey, watch out! Wow, it really doesn't splash, even from way up there.
Uh-huh. It won't wear down fabrics. Wash after wash. And it brightens whites even better than Clorox bleach.
Better than Clorox?
Even better.
Oh, brother.
New Clorox Advantage bleach. It's Clorox even better.
You've seen Copperfield, heard about Houdini. Now meet Jeff, the naked magician. There's nothing up his sleeve. The story coming up.
How do you like the car tax? If you own a car, you have to pay it. Now, Driver's Choice can't pay it for you, but we can do the next best thing.
Saving you enough on your car insurance can go a long way toward easing the pain of the car tax. At Driver's Choice, you'll get fast, reliable phone quotes, answers to all your questions, and you might just save money, too.
Find out why so many folks are switching to Driver's Choice. Call us statewide toll-free at 1-877-77-CHOICE.
The Dirt Devil Vision. You've never seen power like this before. The Vision is lightweight, with swivel casters so it turns on a dime, and easily picks up dirt other vacuums can leave behind. For power you can see, get a Vision. The latest in Dirt Devil's Swivel Glide family. Nothing escapes the power of a Dirt Devil.
Everything you'd expect in a legend. Everything you would hope for in price. $4.9 financing on the 2000 Mustang. See it at your Carolina Ford dealer.
On the next People's Court.
Why is it that I feel like Judge Wapner?
Did Dutch get loose and take a nip of brandy?
The gate is frequently open. That's not true. That is not true.
That is absolutely true.
Now it's getting rough in the courtroom.
A dog that looks just like your dog bit his dog and ran back into your premises. You're saying that this may have been some other dog?
The case of Judge Bites Dog.
It didn't happen, Your Honor.
No, I did it. I bit him.
Next People's Court.
Monday at 9 on News Channel 7 WSPA.
Chris, you've seen stories of children falling down a well or shaft, a town valiantly binding together to save them. Well, that's nearly what happened recently to a 13-year-old named Norman. But when officials in his small New York town tried to rescue him, they faced another problem. You see, Norman weighs almost a ton. Phil Schumann has the heavy dilemma all caught on tape.
It's a heartbreaking cry for help. August 7th, 1999, Scottsville, New York. A 13-year-old horse named Stormin' Norman is trapped inside a drainage pipe some 15 feet below the Earth's surface. It's one of the most bizarre rescue calls Fire Chief Dave Sheffield has ever answered.
When the horse went into the hole, it went in the tail end first.
How did Norman end up in a pipe tail first? On a routine trail ride, Norman dislodged the drain cover with his front legs. He tossed his rider to safety, but fell through the 3.5-foot opening. According to vet Amy Rath, it's an extremely dangerous predicament for a 1,600-pound horse.
a horse being in the position that he was in, sitting on his muscles, especially the huge muscles of the hind end there for any length of time. So it's especially difficult with a horse like this.
Amy is lowered down that metal tube and gives Norman a sedative and an IV.
Just take it slow. Just slow. I was really afraid we were going to lose him, that he was in such shock. His gums were blue. I was very concerned.
There isn't much time now. The poor guy's suffering. Rescuers make a bold decision. The only way to remove Norman from the pipe is to remove the pipe from Norman. As owner Rindy Heck waits anxiously, clutching a green apple for her beloved Norman, the pipe is unearthed. A crane then slowly removes the metal coffin. For the first time, 40 worried friends see Norman. He's frightened, tired, and shivering. But he's not home free yet. The sunny sky turns gray and Mother Nature sheds her tears, causing a brand new problem for the horse.
I was concerned about as we started raining, I was concerned about, we started digging at this point, about the banks on this ground give away from the heavy rain, because it was raining very hard.
Rescuers move into action to prevent Norman from being buried alive. They secure a harness around him, then with studied precision, they gently hoist the giant creature away from danger. Norman rests for several minutes, then with the help of a crane, he's lifted onto all fours. And the 4.5-hour ordeal's over. Norman can now relish that long-awaited apple and his freedom. He's reunited with Rindy and her husband Charles, who are very grateful to all the men and women who risked their lives to save Norman.
Very appreciative of all these fine people who helped us today. Very grateful that the horse is alive and that nobody was injured and that it ended well.
Well, you'll be happy to know that Storm and Norman is up and running again. The pipe he fell into is back, but now it's covered with 5 feet of dirt. They look like psychological ink blot tests, but they're not. They're actually Sly Stallone's eccentric mother Jackie's newest hobby. And when you hear the details, you might ask whether she needs one of those ink blot tests herself. Rick Schwartz explains.
Take a look at these paintings. Recognize the body part? Yup, you're looking at imprints of people's rear ends. Fannygrams, if you will. And this woman claims they're the perfect tools to read fortunes.
Each behind tells a different story, and it's absolutely fascinating to look at them.
Okay. This self-proclaimed psychic is Sylvester Stallone's mom. Known in Hollywood for reading palms and horoscopes, Jackie Stallone claims she can also read rumps.
I am a rumpologist.
Could you repeat that?
I am a rumpologist.
And what exactly does a rumpologist do? Rumpology, of course. With help from psychic mini Jackie, the real Jackie claims she can read patterns and shapes in the paint or ink of a rump print. She explains the left cheek is your past, the right your future, and the dividing line?
The dividing line, the crack, is the destiny line. Your behind's divided into 4 quadrants. Do you know that? And it's controlled by the brain, the left and right brain.
I really didn't know that. And apparently, I'm the only one in Hollywood who didn't know. Jackie claims each of these anonymous rump reports belong to celebrities convinced they're sitting on their futures. Though Jackie played it cheeky when I asked for names.
So this is a blonde,
it's a
female,
blonde, a blonde,
sex symbol, actress.
Symbol, an actress.
Is this Sharon
Have
Stone's?
you ever seen Sharon Stone in this position?
Well, I saw that movie. This is a female actress who cheats a lot?
Who has a lot of toy boy
She's had
lovers.
Oh, my God. This is Madonna. This is Madonna.
Absolutely not.
Sound crazy? Well, Jackie insists rumpology is no shtick, but an ancient art that's been practiced for centuries.
You're telling me that King Tut may have had his rump read?
I'm sure he did. You know, I am positive.
Well, I wasn't so positive, so, armed with a pre-painted rear end, I decided to sit for myself. It takes roughly a full minute to get a readable print. And don't even ask about the cleanup. Next, I packed up my print and was off to get my own rump read.
Jackie, hey, how are you? Guess what I brought you?
We took our seats and the session began.
Do you see your rear end, the cheek is totally curved?
Yeah, I do.
That means that you're very talented.
Hey, maybe she's not so crazy.
I know this is M. Does M mean anything to you?
My wife's name starts with an M, but to Jackie it means I'll make big money by January.
You can tell all of that from my behind?
Yes. It's the best kept secret in the world.
Sylvester's keeping his secret. He refused to sit.
He's sort of in a shock. He doesn't know. He's a little bit afraid.
What a surprise.
If you could read anyone's rump, who would it be?
I'd like to see Spielberg's behind. I would like to see the dark side of him, the part we don't see.
Though Jackie swears by her sitting science, she does have one worry.
You might make this very popular. You think we'll see some unlicensed rumpologists running around? That could be dangerous.
I think it could, and I think it's unfair. Like a doctor who reads an x-ray. You make it 3 doctors and you have 3 opinions. You make it 3 rump readers and you have 3 opinions. It's as good as the person reading it.
Rick really got to the bottom of that story. But, you know, Jackie is very picky about whose rump she'll read. She says she would refuse Monica Lewinsky, Paula Jones, and Linda Tripp. I don't blame her.
Muhammad Ali floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee. Now see how his daughter's showing she's got some